Bob, I was just saying, it's great to see you again, sir, and I'm really excited to have you on my podcast today, and really excited to hear what's been going on in your world and what you've been doing with keynotes and podcasts and everything you're doing with your book series.
Thank you, Tom. Always love having a chance to speak with you. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's good. So I guess some people might not be familiar with what you've done, but I think your Go Giver series has really instilled a kind of give more value than you take. And that's how I've definitely, I'm not saying that is the exact message, but that's how I've interpreted it. And I think when I last spoke to you, I was asking about like um, examples or like in the workplace, all those kind of things and what might happen. But I never asked you like, what inspired you to have that kind of philosophy and go write these books on it? And was it like a life event or was it something that I've never really known. Like, it's a big question, but how you got into this whole value mission of go giving because it's definitely had a massive impact on my life.
Thank you. Well, I think in a sense, it's seeing having seen patterns both in life and in business that people who are sustainably excuse me successful both financially as well as in the quality of their personal relationships, and it all sort of meshes together in a sense. They have a general attitude of focusing on others. Now, not in a self-sacrificial way. So it's not you're giving value to others uh, in a way that hurts you, as though you're some self-sacrificial type of, martyr. No, no, not one single bit. I mean, when you think about it in business, it makes really logical, rational sense. And I used to, when I spoke at sales conferences, I used to often begin by saying, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet.
Yes, very
Right? They're not going to buy from you because you have a sales goal you want to reach, or because you need the money, or even because you're a really nice human being. They're going to do business with you. They're going to buy from you because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so.
yeah,
So it's actually in the entrepreneur, salesperson's, leader's best interest to at least temporarily suspend their self-interest
yeah,
and make it about the other person, because when you do that, that's when good things happen. Now, it's easier to do this if you already have an inclination for wanting to make other people's lives better. But I think that while human nature certainly has a self-interested side, human nature also has a side that wants to bring value to the world.
yeah,
Wants to feel as though the difference we make is substantial, and we make a difference really by what we bring to others. So, it's not an either or. It's not, oh, this person's throwing themselves away for, the benefit of others. No, it's you're doing well for others and you're doing well for yourself.
yeah. It's a really interesting concept. It's like you feel the best when you do more for other people. Like it's like when you do things for others, it's like scientifically proven and there's
It's
studies I've put
true.
in showing how you and I mean there's various studies I've heard about referencing podcast books, videos,
Hmm.
series similar to yourself that when you do more for someone else, you just have like it's like a natural high, it's like a natural buzz for helping someone and guiding them. And it's when you talk about it in that sense, Bob, when I buy from people for my business or the people I like to buy from, whether in my personal, sports, whatever, it's the people you can see that are truly passionate and they don't really care about like trying to sell you. It's like they just want to help you. Like it's I don't know if I've explained that well, but it's like a just natural kind of you get a sense they really want to add value.
Yeah, and I would even take it a step further. I'd say selling is helping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when you think, the old English root of the word sell was selan, which literally meant to give.
Really?
So when you're giving, yeah. So when you're giving, when you're selling, you're literally giving. Now, someone might say, "Well, wait a second. That's clever and everything, but isn't that just semantics when you're selling, you're giving?" Well, let's look at it. Let's say you have someone in front of you, a prospective customer or client. You are in a sales conversation, right? You are selling. Okay, so what exactly are you giving that person in front of you? I suggest you're giving them time, attention, education, empathy, and value. So you're giving a lot. So when you're selling, you're giving. So yeah. So again, I think it fits. It all fits together, and that's the neat thing about it. You don't have to sacrifice one thing to get another. You know what I'm saying? It's through the adding of value to other people that you are going to reap the greatest benefits for yourself. Now, and here's the thing: in business, those benefits you reap are financial, of course, as well as feeling great about the fact that you've added value, that you've helped another human being. In a relationship, a personal relationship, when you add value to another person's life, maybe you've listened to them when they needed to be listened to. Uh, You've given them advice that they're accepting of that was helpful to them. You're introducing them to someone else. You're whatever it is that you're doing. Well, you get something in return too. You receive a really, as you said, a great feeling
Yeah,
about yourself from doing that. Plus, probably the affection of the other person,
yeah,
right? So yeah, it's just if you're talking about being in physical health, when you run a certain distance and you do it consistently, you're giving to that, right? You're giving value to that routine. As a result, what happens? You feel better, you get that runner's high, you lose weight, so it's just life. It's that what John and I say, breathing out and breathing in.
yeah,
It's not one or the other, it's both. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe in oxygen. You breathe out, which is giving, you breathe in, which is receiving.
yeah. And the more, it's like a saying I've heard from Tony Robbins, I think, the more you give, the more you receive. Like, the more you want to help, like, kind of works in business. I mean, the business is at some of the biggest names you know. Why are they big? Not because, and this is my personal kind of way of explaining this, they're not big because it's because they're providing so much value. Whether you look at Amazon Prime because people can get things next day, or you're looking at a certain car because like Volvo because it's known for its safety. Like you're buying a value or a benefit that's like quite instrumental to you.
Well, yeah, and that's why free markets work. Free market capitalism. It's why it works
Yeah,
because because no one's forced to buy from you.
yeah,
So you have got to provide them with value that they want, that
yeah,
they need, that they desire, that they are willing to exchange value for. Value in business, they would exchange value in the case of money.
mm,
Okay, so but again, they're doing it. Why? Because they believe they're receiving. The customer believes they're receiving value.
yeah. And I guess more now than ever before because there's more options, like more companies starting now.
Well, and that's also a benefit of free market capitalism, right?
Yeah,
Because it does more for the masses than any other form of economics, right? Because you're creating more. See, value plus value,
mm,
1 plus 1 in this case doesn't equal 2. It equals 3. It equals 4. It equals 5,
yeah.
right?
Keep
So just
compounding.
in any market based exchange, there should always be at least two profits: the buyer profits
Mm,
and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were before. So it's not a zero sum game where one wins, the other loses. No, both win.
mm.
And because of that, now more is created.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful when you think about it.
Yeah, it's like a knock-on effect. So they do more and they produce more, and then they come back and they need more. So it's that's why you see companies scale together almost or grow together because it's like we've been a partner with them since day one because they just keep having like a bounce off each other, which is interesting.
Hmm.
So I guess you write about it in your books, like the 5 laws of success and stratospheric success. And I'm wondering, like, what you've seen recently. Do you think, and maybe not just with business, and or maybe apply it to personal or relationships or relationships of any sort? Where do you think people struggle? Like, is there certain areas or certain aspects, especially what you write in your Go Giver series, where people struggle to apply those, and why?
So there are different ones and different reasons for them. So, for example, with the law of value that says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment.
Yeah.
Now, rather than meaning you give more than you receive, it's that you are giving more in value than what that person feels they're paying for. Okay, now, so you go to a restaurant to eat, okay, and you pay a certain amount for the meal. What you're paying, and whatever it is, and it could be $100. Let's say $100. It's a higher end restaurant, so it's $100 or £100 or €100 or whatever happens to
Yeah, I
be.
got you.
Okay, it's not just the food that you've paid for. It's the food. It's the atmosphere. It's the fact that you didn't have to cook for yourself, or you could have a nice evening with a friend, or it could be 100 different. You're made to feel good by the staff that takes care of you.
Yes.
So you paid $100, but you feel like you received $1,000 in value, the entire experience, right? Okay, so you got more. They gave you more in value than what they took in payment, okay? However, it cost the restaurant owner a lot less than $100
Yeah.
for that meal to be served, okay? Their cost of goods sold, including the food itself, the wait staff, the keeping the facility open, may have cost them $30, right? So both parties. So it's not as though they gave more than they received or gave more than they got. It's that they gave in a way that it was more value to both parties
Yeah.
by participating. Okay, so now here's the challenge, and that is we often think, okay, well, how am I giving value to this other person? Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Why isn't that person buying from me? Because that other person doesn't necessarily feel it's of value.
Yeah. So
Value
you
is
could be
relative.
chasing someone who doesn't need that value, almost doesn't need that.
Or yeah, doesn't need it, doesn't want it, doesn't understand it, doesn't
Yeah.
want it, and it's always up to right. So here's what happens. We have to realize that while price is a dollar figure or pound or euro or peso or whatever it happens to be, value is relative. Value is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to that other person that they will willingly exchange their money for it? So the biggest hindrance here is always a salesperson or entrepreneur not understanding what that other person truly values.
Yeah.
And why this happens is that because as human beings, and we may have talked about this the last time you and I spoke, we all come at the world from our own set of beliefs,
Yeah.
the way we view the world. And as human beings, we tend to think how we see the world or what we value or how we value something is how basically everyone else does, which makes sense because it's all we know, right? So we assume that that person would feel the same way about it, and it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And that's why the biggest thing we always need to do is we've got to discover what it is that person needs, wants, or desires.
Yeah.
Only at that point can we know what they value and how we can provide it to them.
And that's the point you meant, or that's the point that I've thought about when you're selling to the wrong ideal customer. It's pointless because they just don't value what you've got.
Oh, sure. Exactly. Absolutely.
Or you're
Absolutely.
approaching the wrong sort of relationship. They're someone that likes these sort of hobbies and you like more quiet time, or some there's times where that can work. Like it's almost like two magnets, but there's different times, and I've seen it with my friends and myself and other people that are in relationships and not necessarily like a partner, like just with friends or business partners, and you can see where there's a healthy clash and where there's also a very negative clash because they just don't value their money the same way, their time the same way, their possessions the same way, anything.
Well, also, when it comes to personal relationships, what was a great book that was out years and years ago? It's still selling well, by Dr. Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I haven't, but I've heard of the 5 love languages, but not the book.
Yeah, so his premise was that people experience love, a feeling of love, in one of five different ways. It's usually a little bit of each, but there's one usually that's very dominant.
Got you.
So it might be, if I'm recalling them just on the spur of the moment,
Yeah, I've got it here.
physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And receiving gifts. You get it right there. Okay. Oh, wait, physical touch was, yeah, I said that first. Okay, so you see those 5 love languages on the screen that you've just put. Okay, and so what happens is, if you've got 2 people in a relationship, both with different love languages, and remember what I had said about how we tend to think other people think and feel as we do, how they see the world. So if you're someone who, let's say your love language is acts of service, okay, people doing really good, thoughtful things for you, and their love language is quality time, okay? So you're doing all these great things for them that are special acts of service, but you're not spending a lot of time with her, right? And you're wondering why, even though you're doing all these wonderful acts of service, all these wonderful things for her, she's not really returning that feeling. She's not really you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's a distance there.
You can feel
and
that
that's
as well.
because that's not really her love language. And her thing is quality time. So she's always wanting to spend time, let's say, with you. And that's a good thing, but it's not your key love languages. Your key love language. So you're not really. So both of you are actually expressing love to one another in a way that's of value to you, but not necessarily to them.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it. It's unconscious. You don't even know that you're right.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We've got to make the unconscious conscious. And only from there can we. So if you know about love languages, let's say, okay, now you get Dr. Chapman's book and you study it, and now you start to figure out what her love language is, or she figures out what your love language is, or whatever it happens to be. Okay, now now you can know. Okay, yeah, I'm an acts of service person, but I know she's a quality time person, so I'm going to spend more quality time.
Yeah.
With her, right? And that's basically, so we're discovering what the other person values.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. And I think with with business, I feel people have a similar way. Obviously not a love language, but a communication language.
Oh, sure.
And you see it with engineering teams compared to product marketing teams. It's like there's a real divide, and they're a team of say 1,000 people between them. It's like getting those to cross. It's a real exercise sometimes.
Oh, you hit it right on the head. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To try and move behind the same mission, which is interesting. So how when you look at those kind of things, when you look at what people are doing and the audiences you've spoke to, is there an angle that people are seeing with the wave of technology? Look at dating and relationships, for example. And this is just coming off the top of my head, so sorry if I'm not framing it right, but people have moved much more to digital experiences, whereas I'd imagine through my dad's business and through other people that I know have run businesses, they've had to move from a time where everything's very in person, very there on the spot, very moved. People didn't trust the internet. And nowadays, you've got to bring a whole new kind of communication behind it, or a whole new kind of trust mechanism. I just wonder, how have you seen that change? Or I guess, what do people need to see that instilled in them to think I can trust these people? Because look at me, Bob. I haven't some of the customers that I bought from us in fairly large quantities. I've never met them, and you think, how have they got that trust in me? How? I haven't gone and shook their hand or anything.
Right, and that was one of the biggest questions that I was asked. Is because I'm probably your dad's age. I'm probably older. So yeah, that was I was in business long before the internet was a known thing. And so people often, would ask, as technology really became prevalent as a way of doing business, people said, yeah, but Bob, can people really establish relationships without being in person and being able to sell that way? And I said, well, when I was younger and just starting out, we had this technology tool that we actually used to use quite a bit. It was called the telephone. And so I would call people and actually build relationships with them
Yeah,
on the phone. Now, I'd send handwritten, personalized thank you note, which, by the way, I still send to this day. But
beautiful.
personal handwritten sending. You sent information to people. You did things that nowadays, you can do with a click of the button, and so forth. But here's the point: that yes, you've heard me say before. My kind of saying over the last 35 years, from my first book in the night, Endless Referrals, was all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. So
Yeah,
remember, it's those people they know, like, and trust, not those computers
yeah,
they know, like, and trust, not those social media platforms people know, like, and trust. Those are just platforms. Okay. But it's still building the relationship. It's still communicating to another person that you value them, that you have their best interest, their well being at heart. It's creating a reputation in your marketplace
yeah,
as that person who you can know, who you can like, and who you can trust, right? Both in terms, as Stephen M.R. Covey would say, as in terms of both competence and character. So it's all those things. Now, I think the internet's a great tool for doing it. The challenge only becomes when you try to replace the human touch
yeah.
with high tech.
Yeah,
Really, it's the more high tech we get, the more high touch is going to be the differentiator. Jeffrey Colvin talked about that years ago in his wonderful book, Humans Are Underrated. He said, the question used to be, what can human beings do that technology can't? Well, that's no longer even a question, because pretty much technology can do everything
yeah,
that humans can. It's the question now, according to Jeffrey Colvin, is what can human beings do that people will not accept from technology?
yeah,
And this was a great point, because he brought up one, very, very sad but excellent point. If, heaven forbid, a friend or family member is in the hospital and they die on the operating table, you don't want to hear that from a printout.
yeah.
Okay?
You don't.
No, you want a doctor or nurse coming out who has kindness, who has feeling, who has empathy, you know what I'm saying? So,
100%.
there's always, and he was saying, the more prevalent technology becomes, and we know it's going to continue to be, it's those people who have those, what I call people skills. Some people call them soft skills. I don't see anything soft about them, but that's what people call them. I just call them, people skills. It's those people who understand leadership, team building, empathy, kindness, and people who can inspire, people who can, who can communicate and connect
Yeah,
with others on a heart to heart level. We talk about, B2B, business or business, B2C, business to consumer. It's always H to H. It's human to human.
yeah.
It's just that we have various media now that we can use to encourage that and so forth.
To amplify. That's really well said. You've made me think
Amplify.
about like
I like your word.
like with technology, Bob. So I get a constant thing around AI and uh, technology coming for job replacement or all the fear things, which I don't necessarily get behind. I mean, they said the internet was going to wipe out whatever, and it's like flourished businesses, and they said the same thing with the car, and they said the same thing with all these different inspirations
Always,
that have
of
always
course.
flourished us even further and created more
Well,
and more
sure.
income. Yeah,
You just need to adapt. You
exactly.
know, I mean, because there are certain things that are going to be replaced, but it always creates more.
Yeah,
For those who are, if you want to use the word agile, I know that's a word that's overused now, it goes back to Spencer Johnson's "Who Moved My Cheese."
yeah, that's
Yeah, it's a changing world. If you just sit there and do nothing, well, yeah, you're probably going to get lost in it. But if you look for ways to bring value, through the traits, talents, skills, so forth, characteristics that you have, then yeah, you're going to adapt, and you're going to find ways to to be of value to others, and you're going to thrive.
Yeah, and it does make me think the point you made about restaurants, for example. I was saying this to a friend the other day, Bob, where I can't see AI replacing a job where I want to go for a very nice meal. Like if I'm paying £200 for me and my partner, it's like I want the wine list, I want a nice starter, I want the music, I don't want to be rushed, all these things. And I think that's so important in this day and age where there's still plenty of those kind of feelings, right? Like kind of things people want.
Yeah, and I mean, and some of those things technology can help with, right? Because technology can help for the food to be, to be better, more efficient. It can program the music. It can do a lot of those things. But it's still the people who are making it happen, and it's still going to be that wait person and that team and that person who greets you with a kind, loving, welcoming attitude. And
Yeah.
it's going to be that, right? And remember too, it will also be when you've got some places that are where the experience, the dining experience itself isn't as important. In
Yeah.
that case, yeah, technology will probably do 98% of the whole thing, but you're not paying for the experience, you're paying for the commodity, and those are when prices are lower. But if it's the higher end, it's going to be because people make it an experience to remember.
Yeah. And there was just one point I was going to say about that because I want to be respectful of your time, but I haven't read it yet. So your Endless Referrals book, I've read several others, but it kind of reminded me of what you were saying there. I don't know if you've ever read the book Ultimate Selling Machine by Chet Holmes.
Oh, Chet Holmes, sure.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. Like it's timeless. Like I read that and I read it most years, and it's like wow. And I did what they say in that book, and like gifted a customer with just something that wasn't a very small gift. It cost us nothing compared to the size of the deal, and just the reciprocity. I can't say the word, but like the way it just was like a pinch me moment. It was like wow, like that customer just keeps coming back to us because of like that's not the reason I did it. I literally did it because it came up in conversation, and
Sure.
it's what I always try to do. And sometimes it doesn't work, but at least it makes me feel good. And it's like those kind of models, like you're saying, they're never going to go out of touch. Like that personal touch is never going to get lost.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate your time, Bob. I want to know where can people find you? Like, what have you got any books coming out or upcoming books? I know you wrote one with your colleague across or your co-author with John. What's next for you?
Yeah. So yeah, Burg, Burg.com. And when people go there, they can, if they'd like, subscribe to my daily impact email, which goes out 5 days a week. And we've got a lot of great fun stuff going. You can pretty much see everything right at the site. So I invite people to go to Burg.com, explore it, look around. And if there's something you like, check it out.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I definitely recommend the books and the podcast, and hopefully I get to see one of your keynotes sometime soon. I might be at the same time.
I appreciate that so
Who
much.
knows?
You're always a great guy and a wonderful host and a fantastic person to speak with.
I appreciate it, Bob. I'll have you on again sometime soon. We'll get
I
talking
love it.
again. I love it. Thank you, Bob. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.